Welcome to our online interview. My name is Marianne Kannengiese, and with me today is Dr. Rosina Sonnenschmidt from Germany. I welcome you very much. I'm very happy that you talked to me today. And I hope that we will hear a lot about homeopathy in Japan and what is going on there. Thank you very much for talking with us today, and maybe you could introduce yourself a bit for our listeners. Please, Rosina, introduce yourself.
Yes. Thank you very much for this invitation, and I like it very much to talk about my experiences in Japan. Since 2006, I was there regularly, and that was very strange because till that time, only male homeopaths had been invited to talk about homeopathy, and they stressed the point, classical homeopathy. So the Japanese doctors and nurses and people who like to learn about homeopathy, they felt a little bit taught from a higher level. So you are the very little pupils and students, and you have no idea about homeopathy, and we are there to talk about homeopathy and teach you the right way of homeopathy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was terrible insofar as these guest homeopaths did not understand the background why homeopathy was the last, how should I say, the last help they were searching for, because Japan, nobody knew in the world, Japan was a dying nation. First of all, because of the effect of the 2 atom bombs in August 1945. Till the 3rd generation, they had terrible diseases which we cannot imagine, because the Americans wanted to know how this radiation will work. That is why they dropped these atom bombs after finishing the World War. There was already the capitulation of Germany and Japan, but still they wanted to know, they have put millions of dollars in the development of the atom bombs, and of course they were not ready early enough so that they could drop the bombs within the World War time. So then they searched for an opportunity, and they said, okay, we drop it in Japan, and they dropped one atom bomb in Hiroshima on the 6th of August, and another one in Nagasaki. But these atom bombs have been completely different. That is important to understand because of the effects, the diseases which followed. So in Hiroshima, this atom bomb had more is enriched by uranium.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? And in Nagasaki, it was plutonium.
Okay.
So the effect is completely different. I will talk about that a little bit later. So that was the first problem. Almost all people coming from there had only one kidney and less teeth and very bad teeth and very bad bones, and some were only growing like a dwarf. And they had a lot of problems beside the different kinds of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So they had, first of all, this problem that less children were born with, as the Japanese say, with 10 fingers and 10, toes at the feet. So that was one problem. The next problem was Japan had lost the World War, of course, had this capitulation. And because of that, they stressed, we must be, once again, a very famous nation. So they stressed on that point in the automobile industry and industry anywhere, with Sony and all this. big firms. So they stressed the young people. And the effect was in the last, say, about 20 years, that more and more the males did not like to be males. So they took what's it called? Estrogens, and said better to be a woman and having not so much stress. So better to be a woman instead of being a man who is under this enormous stress. That was one.
So there's a lot of transgender problems then.
Yes. So that means in between there was another big problem, because the fertility of the males decreased, and at the same time the ladies, whenever they became pregnant, then they lost the child, or the child was born dead, or they were infertile. So that was the biggest problem in Japan.
Okay.
Then, 23 years ago, Torako Yui, who did her PhD in homeopathy in Great Britain, that was possible in Great Britain to make the PhD, a doctorate, and she was very sick, extremely sick, and she did not get any help. And one day she met a homeopath, and due to this treatment, she got back her health, and she had a dream: I have to go back to Japan and do something for my people in Japan. So then she went back to Japan after having been in Great Britain 16 years, and she invited one man from the banking in Tokyo, and from the law, and from the royals, and she invited them, 4 or 5 gentlemen, to the most expensive restaurant in Tokyo, and one dish is about 4,000 or 5,000 euros. So it was an extremely, an excellent possibility to meet this man as a woman, I must say. That was a very great courage to invite these men who did not know anything about her, anything about homeopathy. Then she said, okay, I want to invent homeopathy, and I'm sure we can solve these 3 main problems: infertility, then cancer, and many diseases because of the atom bombs, and of course that so many young men don't like to be male. And then she said, I need a law that I can work, I need money, and I need a place, I need everything, and I give you some granules of homeopathy, because definitely you all have a little problem. Maybe you feel tired, or you feel exhausted after your work, or whatsoever. So I give you some granules, and after 6 weeks we meet again if you have achieved any success in your feeling, in your work, or whatsoever. And she told me, Rosina, of course, I gave all of them Arsenicum album 1000. So all 5 gentlemen got the same remedy. And in 2006, I met 3 of these gentlemen when I came for the first time to Japan. And they told me, we thought, oh, she's a fool, but she has the money to invite us to this wonderful restaurant. They could not understand, but after 6 weeks, they felt better. Can you imagine that we go to our counselor and tell, well, we want to change something, and we give you some granules and we will see. So it's incredible what courage she had. But then she got in the TV, she got 15 minutes every week to talk about the successes in homeopathy. Then she did one thing from the very beginning. May I show you a picture?
Oh, maybe I have to secure that you can share the screen.
So from the very beginning, she bought some fields, exhausted fields by normal agriculture, and she started the organic agriculture together with the homeopathy. Because she said homeopaths have to have a very healthy food, and they have to learn to put the seeds into the ground, into the earth, and to look for the plants and see how to make from the plant till the remedy all steps. That was her idea.
Okay.
And the second step was everywhere where she was teaching, the students find an altar where Hanuman and his wife, Melanie, are to be seen. And on the right side, we see an altar, the combination of the old Shintoism in Japan and the new medicine, that means the homeopathy. And she cancelled the term classical because she said that is too narrow. That's too narrow. I want to have, first of all, the possibility it's just homeopathy, and whatever we can do with it in our country, in our culture, we do it. Second point is, none of these homeopaths who had been our guests were ready to work with patients in front of the audience. And third point, we have never seen a lady. So because one of my books had been translated in Japanese language, so she came and invited me. That was the point. And then I said, okay, I can tell you anything, but I need patience. So in that night, they were searching for 2 cancer patients who were ready to work with me in front of the people in the audience, and also with this, what is it called, with this TV for the whole country, some thousand people who were looking as we are doing with Zoom or anything else.
It's a live streaming.
Yeah. So that was the beginning, and I saw that the people were very serious to learn homeopathy, and they worship at the altar, they worship that homeopathy is coming from Germany. So I have never seen such an attitude. And I remember some years ago when I was there, I came to know that the Japanese have composed a nice song. This song is, we are little homeopaths, but we are great. No, we are little homeopaths, and do a great job with it. Something like that. So that year, someone from America was a guest, and all the students stood up and started to sing. And he said, "Oh no, please sit down. We are not in the kindergarten." Yes. So they stopped, and they stopped singing it. So when I came next year, I came to know about this song, and I was eager to hear it. So I was standing in front of the audience, and I said, "Okay, I'm waiting. What are you waiting for?" "I'm waiting for the song." Torako said, "We are no more singing." I said, "Why?" "No, we don't sing." I said, "Okay, you have a choice. Either you sing or I go, I leave." Then she said, "Okay, we try and have the courage to sing again." And I said, "There's no question of courage. I find it wonderful that you have a song for homeopathy. And it's great." So then afterwards I came to know about this very unpolite attitude. And unfortunately that was quite a lot of times, a lot of cases, and then they stopped it and they said, okay, we take other therapists from Europe or America, but when we want to hear something about homeopathy, we take Rosina because she's ready to work with the patients, and well, that I did, yes.
It's always a tragic if people don't understand the tradition, the language, and the attitude of other people and go
Yeah.
to some kind of violent language. It's always a mess.
Yeah, that is it's a pity. It's a pity. And there is no interest in understanding this mentality. You know, the Japanese, like all Eastern Asian people, they have their word and language centers not on the left side as we in Western countries. They have it on the right side. So that means whenever they speak and think and speak, they have pictures in front of their inner eyes. So when we are dealing with Asian people, we must understand that they need pictures. You need descriptions for a situation. And you cannot do it in an intellectual way because they sit there and they are very, well, what to say, they take it very serious. There is an authority and I have to listen, I have to do it, but like that. And whenever I demonstrate something, they are sitting there and no smile, nothing. So when I'm ready, suddenly the whole people are laughing and smiling and I don't understand. I asked my translator and she said, whenever a Japanese is learning, he's serious. When he has something understood, then he's smiling and laughing. So we need to know that when we are working with other cultures, of course. Okay. So that was a nice experience, and as I have worked when not in Eastern Asia but in India, I did my research works. So I was habituated or used to work with Asian people. So that is why, of course, that was very easy. And it was very strenuous because, may I give one example? There came a traditional Japanese lady with uterus cancer. So you never can say in front of the people, even not her directly, you have a sexual problem. It's impossible. So I asked her, are you married? And she said, yes. I said, how long? 25 years. I said, oh my God, 25 years. What a time. It's wonderful. And you are still together. That's great. And she said, yes, my husband is very, very busy. The whole day he's working. And I said, okay, we shall talk about the cause of your disease. And that is why I tell you, I have a good idea. One day you talk to your husband and say, hello, my darling, what do you think about a nice holiday? Only we two. Say about 2 weeks. And she collapsed. She said, it's impossible. Translator told me 2 weeks in Japan means 3 months. It's impossible. So I said, okay, I've understood. But 1 week, you wait the right moment. We women have to wait for the right moment. And then you prepare yourself and you tell, my darling, what do you think about a holiday for 1 week, only we two? Oh, she said, no, he definitely has no time. And I said, you have not tried, you try. When you are together 25 years, then you know each other and you try to get an attraction that can only be when you are in holidays, not at home with the routine and all this busy work and so. She said, okay, I try. Next morning, a gentleman jumped to the platform and said, "May I talk to you?" And I said, "Yes, please." And he said, "I'm the husband of this lady, and I was in the audience yesterday, and I heard what you said. And I want to tell you, I gave my wife 1 week holidays. So everybody has understood what I wanted to say. Everybody has understood. He has understood. She has understood. The audience, the therapists, the homeopaths have understood. So that is the way. You cannot go the direct way like in Germany or in any other country. So you have to find out in a very sensitive way, how can she understand what I'm talking about? So when I did this pantomime, I make myself beautiful, and then I asked my husband, "What do you think about it?" She has understood. And since that time, not only the cancer could be cured because of a very good homeopath in Japan, but also she did all the exercises, what I told her, what she's doing for herself. And that was very interesting for the therapists in the audience, that we not only give remedies, but also exercises to change the thinking, the behavior, yes, everything. And that is why they invited me a second time to work with pregnant ladies, because they wanted to learn, the therapists wanted to learn, how can I find the cause of this disease? And that is why I gave lectures about the relationship between organ system and conflict.
Yeah.
I've written 12 books about it, one series, organ conflict and healing, and some of them had been translated in Japanese language, so they wanted to learn more about it. And I told them, well, in your culture, you know how you can talk about the conflict in your language, and you can deal with your people, and that is very important, that a person understands the cause of this disease, the background of the disease.
That's always very important. But of course, you have to respect the tradition.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so the effect is, perhaps I show one more. Sorry. A very great success was that Torako Yui could gain one of the biggest clinics in Tokyo, and the boss of that clinic is a medical doctor, and he was convinced because of the successes in treatment, and that is why he spoke in 2019, in December last year. He said, so what have I learned? I have learned on the left side, the driving force of medical progress, illness is evil and death is defeated. So that was our thinking in medicine. And from Germany, we have learned the Trinity, body, mind, and soul. So that was a great gift, because I was in the audience, and he said, that is coming from Germany, and now we use it in our treatment. And that is great. Mm-hmm. And then he said, what Torako Yui has achieved is that the vaccination, which was fixed by the law in Japan, that this could be repealed. And he has shown, here on the left side, he has shown what diseases had become better since no more vaccination was asked for. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I understand.
Yes, and that means these scales, they show there was a high point of the disease, and since we have repealed the vaccination, we have less of these diseases, and that is a great success. And he showed new paradigm ahead. That means we have to go forward. So he is one of the most famous medical doctors in Tokyo. So that what he says has value. So he has influenced many young doctors, first of all, to learn homeopathy in 2 or 4 years, and then learn body, mind, and soul, so the Trinity.
Yes.
So that was really a great thing that he, as a medical doctor, stands in front of a big audience and says, we have to change our thinking, we have to change our kind of treatment. And he started, it's a skyscraper, his clinic. He says, in my clinic, I started that every patient is allowed to have homeopathy first. And secondly, that only organic food is given to our patients.
Wow.
Wow, yes. And when I show this, here you see the fields, and of course, not only some homeopaths is working in the fields, but she has saved many farmers who had only small fields, and they lost all money and all fields. And she said, I have bought the fields, and you work on my fields, and you earn money with these fields. So she has saved about 100 farmers who earn their money now by doing the agricultural work. And I've seen all these fields, all these places, and it is great. The farmers feel very proud that they produce the organic food for the homeopath, and of course also for patients now in almost all places, all clinics, and in little restaurants. And they say, not biological or organic food, they said, this is food without stress. Mm-hmm. Stressless food, they call the restaurant. That's very funny. Yeah. And Dr. Tanaka said, well, we have started in our clinic, and we have seen, due to this wonderful food, people come forward in their healing process much quicker than before because of the wonderful food. So homeopathy and organic agriculture, therefore, for them is like twins, has become like twins. Yeah, that is.
So it's a bit like it is in India.
Yeah.
With the Ministry of Ayush.
Yeah.
And the homeopaths who work together.
Yes, and during this Congress in December 2019, one of the main gentlemen of India could not come personally, but he told us, now we have a law that all these ways of treatment are on the same level, and they are appreciated on the same level. And we hope that this will be possible in Japan. And I wouldn't be astonished if it is possible, because it's so great what she has done. Because first of all, she treated, Dr. Tuako Yui, she treated actresses and actors, famous people who had a problem. And in the TV, she had 15 minutes to explain a case. And it's a time 8:15 p.m. That means when we have the Tagesschau. Mm-hmm. She had the best time to talk about the successes in homeopathy. Where do we have any time to talk about our wonderful work?
Nowhere. As far as I see, nowhere in the world but Japan.
Now, but Japan. And of course, then she started with this gentleman who took the what's it called, these hormones to become female. Yeah. So I came to know one of these gentlemen. He came with a skirt, and he looked very female. And he was a friend of Torako Yui, and he said, "Well, I go this way, and I'm fond of homeopathy, but I'm not sure that it is the right way for me." Unfortunately, he went the way of castration, complete castration. That is the problem in Japan. Yeah. So when they go this way and take the hormones, there comes the point when they go to the surgery and say, "Please chop off everything." Can you imagine what it means? So he went this way. He went this way. But many others decided, well, we go to a homeopath, and we support our male forces, our male energies with homeopathy. And that is why now many of these male became fertile again. So that is one point. On the lady side, 2016, I was invited to work with, sorry. It was 2009, 2 years before Fukushima disaster. I was invited to work with pregnant ladies because they had 2009, they had very strange dreams. And I could not imagine, 2009, why are they dreaming of atom bombs? They dream that their babies become burnt. They lose their babies. They had terrible dreams. And I worked with 3 of these ladies. And I took it serious, the dreams, and I asked, are your ancestors coming from Hiroshima or from Nagasaki? And with 2 ladies, it was like that. And they said, one of the ladies, for instance, she said, "I have already 2 wonderful children, and they have all the 10 fingers and all the 10 toes. They are quite okay. But now I'm full of anxiety. I'm full of fear that the 3rd baby will have this effect like in Hiroshima." If you imagine, 2 years before that problem in Fukushima, they had already these dreams. So that has shown Japan is very close to all the possible catastrophes and disasters which are possible in this country. The volcanism and the earthquakes and all these problems. And of course the atom, what is it called? These atom factories there in Fukushima. So there was already something in the people, some kind of fear they could not imagine. Nobody could imagine, because no atom bomb.
You think the instinctive center was already reacting?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey.
Yes, and I met several people, but with these 3 ladies, I had to work in the seminar in front of the people, and I saw what they got as homeopathy, and I said, "This is perfect. We shall see how you can overcome these dreams." And that is another thing, what is wonderful to work with Japanese people, because they are very mediumistic, or very sensitive. So I said, "Well, are you talking with your baby?" With one of the ladies. She said, "Yeah." "And what is happening then?" "The baby is moving." And I said, "Okay, what are you telling your baby?" "Well, this or that or the other." And I said, "No, not like that. You have to tell funny stories. If you see something in your daily life which is very funny, so that you have to laugh, then you tell this your baby. because your baby needs to create strong muscles to be able to laugh. That is very important. And then everybody in the audience laughed. And she said, oh, that is a good idea. I shall do that. I said, perhaps you know Japanese jokes. We have jokes in Germany, and that is completely different. Yes, 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 I know. She said, you tell him a joke. And you do nice things, everything what makes you light and happy, that another very healthy young baby is coming on in this world. She said, but do you think this world will be okay for the baby? I said, okay, I am a baby who has come just after the World War. Do you know how Germany has looked like? I haven't seen any normal house. Everything was in ruins. It was terrible. But there was a mother who said, I want to have this baby. I want to have this baby. And I've had a wonderful mother with a wonderful humorous mind. And perhaps that is why I'm so healthy. But the surrounding and the world around me was a disaster. She said, okay, I will think about it. And so this is, that was the way all these three ladies started to think in another way. Not to be in outside, to looking what is going on outside, what do I feel instinctively? No, what is in myself and what can I do? And all the three got a wonderful baby. And I got it after some months. They told me, yes, the babies are okay, and they have the 10 fingers and the 10 tubes. So that was very interesting that the third lady, she was in north of Japan. Mm-hmm. And she said, I have, my husband and myself, we have not the courage to be pregnant. I have terrible dreams. And I have the feeling some disaster is coming. And 2009, nobody could imagine in North Japan. And I said, where are you staying? Oh, well, we are living on that island, and we have a wonderful place. And I said, okay, I take it serious that you have this dream, but what are you doing beside the normal things you are doing to become pregnant? We keep it aside. That is not the thing we talk about here. But what are you doing to make your life a happy life? You are very young, and your husband is very young. So what are you doing? We are working. I said, working? No, that is not good. You go for dancing. You try to find a dance, what you really like. And it must be a close, like tango or salsa, or whatever you want to do. You dance. Then you will get another feeling. And then you let happen what can happen. Forget about it. I want to be pregnant. I must be pregnant. All this stress. She laughed and said she had a ponytail, and she made like that. She said, okay, that sounds quite interesting. I shall talk to my husband. Next day, she came once again. She said, I have talked to my husband, and we go to a dancing school, and we will do it. So what happened? They went to the dancing school. She got pregnant, but the husband got another working place on more in the south of Japan. And I came to know that they were very close to Fukushima. They lived in a small city not far away from Fukushima. So he has got another work in the beginning, end of 2010. He went there, and they were so happy that they have left this place, because then in 2011, the disaster was there in early March. Isn't it crazy?
No, this is the divine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is really a divine karmic law and a wonderful help. So for me, it was very interesting I trust the people that they have a good instinct for their culture and for their country, for their nation, for their people. And that was what I learned through Fukushima. Yeah, then the Fukushima disaster was there. And what did Toraku Yui, I will show. How does it go forward? Just a second. Yeah. This is the place. What less people know is that Fukushima was covered with 2 million people. 2 million people. And of course, due to the great earthquake, everything was flat. That means everybody lost home, and we had a flood, and they had this earthquake. And Toraku went there 4 times. And the first time she went there, she took a bottle with homeopathic remedies, and I shall show what was in it. And she poured it everywhere where she was. She said, the wounded earth, first of all, has to be treated. And then she invited 100 homeopaths who were ready to treat the people in the atom factory, that they need not lie on this, what is it called? Blei. Blei. Plomb. Is it plomb? This metal.
Lead, I think.
Lead, yeah. So they need no more sleep on this metal. They could be treated. They got organic food. Everything was brought to Fukushima. And that was her first ritual, to say to the world, to this earth, first of all, you have to be cured. And then she prayed on one other side of this hill. There's a sea, then comes the atom area, and then comes a hill. And on this hill, all these wonderful flowers were in full blossom. And she said that was a great help in this disaster. Everything gray and black and destroyed. And then these wonderful flowers. That was a wonderful gesture of her that everybody in Japan could see. And she sent it to me. So immediately she said, we have to combine homeopathic remedies for the disaster, that the people can overcome, because they are in great fear, they are completely out of, how to say it, I don't find the right words. They are just anxious and
in shock.
Yeah, exactly. So she immediately did this on this left side. She combined homeopathic remedies and put this in these places, in these areas, in water, so that everybody could take his teacup and take a sip. Mm-hmm. So everybody got the right remedies for anxiety or for shock, a disaster, and all these things. And these emergency cases, or this kit for it, now everybody has at home. That I came to know in 2019, and immediately I found a friend of mine in the pharmacy who has created what is on the right side, and I put some 4 more remedies. That means for microwave pollution. That means we have a very modern first aid kit for emergency cases and microwave pollution. And that is now available also in Germany. Because of our pandemic disaster, I have seen so many people full of anxiety, and I said, okay, we need it too. It must not be an earthquake or a volcan disaster or a Fukushima disaster. We have a disaster enough with this new coronavirus. So that is the new creation, and we have seen in the last month that it helps the people to overcome the situation, not to be shocked and paralyzed, and to have a clear mind to decide. Because that was the reason why Therefor has it invented. She said, first of all, in a disaster, what we have quite often in Japan, we must have a common sense and a clear mind to think what has to be done first. And first of all, in Japan, is said, first of all, people must be calm and quiet. That means you must give them something that they get a hope and that they lose their anxiety. That is the first thing.
So resilience, getting out of shock, getting more resilient is the first thing.
It's the first thing. And then we need something like, what is it called? I don't know.
Perfection.
Yeah, and to keep the right distance, and well, and all the washing hands constantly. And that is also important. But it is the third row in Japan. And we first of all, people. First of all, earth and people. That is their thinking. And that was the invention of Therefor, that she said that we have to learn. We have volcanism, we have earthquakes, we have floods, we have tsunami, we have everything what you can imagine. But to overcome it, first of all, people have to be saved. And the earth has to be cured, and then the people have to be saved. And when I was there in 2019, I was invited to a very holy place, 2,000 meters in the mountains, and there was a little temple. But to go there means to cross a big volcano. And when we were on top of this mountain, suddenly everything was shaking. Everything was shaking. I've never seen it, everything. Even the huge buildings were shaking. We were, I did not know what to do. And she gave me only aconite, said, take it, because I was like that, I was shivering. I said, what is going on? And she said, well, that is quite normal in our country. And first of all, you wanted to ask me something. Now remember, take the granules and then ask me. So we went down. When we were in the valley, looked up this wonderful mountain. Suddenly, out of this mountain, we call it embryo volcans. These small holes, the hole, all these thousands of holes in this mountain, suddenly stream of white, what's it called, steam. Yeah. So white steam popped off these holes all of a sudden. And I was scared. I said, oh, what is that? And she stopped and said, okay, let me see the direction of the wind. Fortunately, the wind drives this steam towards the woods. That is good, because this is poison, and otherwise, if it won't go this way, we have to save 10,000 people immediately, because this is poison what is coming out. But completely calm and quiet, she said it. So she said, we need it because everywhere we have these problems in Japan, so we need it. And whenever we have a catastrophe like Fukushima, we are already taught now we know, we have these remedies, we take it and everything is better. Isn't it wonderful? I find it.
Oh, yes, of
great.
course. Yes, of course.
So that is why it's not the same. I did not copy this kit. I combined it in a different way because we are different people. And of course, we have this pollution of microwaves. And that is why I had to talk in Japan about the way we deal with it in Germany. And since more than 10 years, I'm treating people who have to do with all these modern techniques and sometimes suffer from it, the microwaves. And I have combined for remedies which are very good in this, for this disease. And I have brought it to Japan, and as I said, oh, the Germans are already so in front, and they are the first, and we follow. Well, I did not tell them how we deal with it, with the 5G problem in our country. Although we have already to look what 3G and fourth generation has brought, which diseases have followed out of these techniques. So that is in a rough way what I can say. Let me set this. Another wonderful thing has happened last year. No, 2 years ago. I have seen a wonderful story that in Hiroshima, when the uranium atom bomb dropped down, that was in August. And in February, I must say, in January and February is the worst time in Japan. It's raining like anything, and earthquakes and everything. It's the worst time. But beginning of February, suddenly the oleander bushes were full of blossoms, as if nothing had happened. So I thought, what a degree of immune power is in that plant that it does not bother about this radiation and all this disaster. So then I decided to prove it. And I got the organic seeds from these trees or bushes in 2018. And I got we were about 35 homeopaths, and we have proved this trituration first, and then we have proved it for several months in C30, C200, yes, and of course also D12. And that was a great experience, because our provers did not know anything about the history of Japan. Only there were 2 atom bombs finished, but not the sequence, that means the causes and what has happened afterwards and all that. So we did the proving, and this proving was very, very difficult, because some people got a tumor, cancer, and a lot of terrible symptoms, and but they had the courage to go through it, because of course they were not sick, but they had the symptoms. So then I collected all these experiences, and I wrote this book, painted by one of the ladies who is a wonderful artist. She did this cover. What inspiration she got while working with this oleander torimaki. And torimaki means this oleander comes out when everything else is worst on this world. It has the power to overcome that. And definitely this is a remedy for our time. So then I have translated most of the chapters, and I brought it to Tokyo in December last year. And I talked about the effect on the Germans while proving this remedy. And you cannot imagine, so many people were crying, and doctors came and said, oh, what a wonderful thing that you went through these disasters, what we have seen. And you have offered your energy system for Japanese history. You opened up your heart for our time, for our disasters. What a great gift and what a great present. Thank you very much. And then some told me, yes, my grandmother was burned in Hiroshima. I got a lot of stories because these were now the third generation who was talking to me. But their grandparents, what they have seen, that means how they died very quickly and all these things. And that was a great, great moment, because I also brought the remedy. So we got the seeds, we proved it here, and I brought back the book, the whole history about the proving and the remedy. And then they said, okay, now Germany and Japan come very closely together. So we are real friends, because that you had the courage to prove this remedy. We had not the courage in Japan. They did not. They did not the proving. They did the Mediterranean oleander, but
Yes,
not their own.
They were too traumatized.
Traumatized, that was it. And we went through this trauma, and they were very, very grateful that we went through it, and that we got from a certain distance, we got a wonderful remedy. And we use it very, very often in our time for people who are working a lot with these modern techniques, which is quite okay. But the microwave, actually, originally, they had been chosen for weapons in the Second World War. So that is a nice thing, and also this. I like very much this picture when, first of all, in China, here that was December 19, technical radiation, and what are we doing? The modern remedies, what we use, and they were very much interested and said, okay, and now we have more hope to cope with the situation. Well, we use this technique, and that is a wonderful thing. But we should not lose the personal contact, human and human. We should not lose it. That is a main point.
That is a major point always.
A major point, yes.
What I wanted to ask you, did you find special remedies for the side effects of following generation effects for the uranium bomb and the plutonium bomb?
Yeah, I want to see you. Let me see how can I. Just a second.
Find the zoom icon on the bottom.
Yeah, I have. I see you. Okay. The uranium bomb. When Turako wanted to teach homeopathy, one day she also came to Hiroshima, and she found a lot of people who were immediately ready to open their mind for a new medical possibility. And she said the cancers who derived from Hiroshima, from this atom bomb, were what we know from cancer diseases. That means these are people who sacrifice their life for something. Sacrifice is a great thing, you know. Mm-hmm. So, but they are very friendly and very communicative and very ready to to deal with the new things. And many of the nurses and the medical doctors from that area came and learned homeopathy.
Yeah.
But when she came to Nagasaki, there also cancer was a problem, but the main problem is autism.
Oh,
A very aggressive form of autism. That means the children, even now in the third generation, they jump at someone, take off their hair. They are terrible, like devils. They behave like devils. So these people and their families, they did not like to know anything about homeopathy. So that was a great problem. Then she said, okay, we use plutonium, uranium, plutonium nitricum for these people, and uranium nitricum for the Hiroshima people. And that was the solution. That was the best solution. When I was there, 2006, I was invited to talk about holistic cancer treatment. So I said, we use uranium and plutonium, and everybody laughed, burst out of laughter. And I said, I did not say any joke. What is the matter? She said, oh, we know that remedy very well. That is a normal remedy with us. And I said, okay. In our country, it's quite new that we use it. So they had very good results using for these people with this kind of cancer, which derived from Hiroshima. They used the uranium nitricum. And for all these people with this very aggressive autism, they used plutonium. And whenever Torako is with us here in Germany or in Europe, and we can meet her, she shows cases how she's treating these poor people. They come bound in the practice, yeah, and they look like a devil. I tell you, I've seen these people. They look like a devil. Then she says, okay, you have a very hard karmic burden on your shoulders. Are you ready to give it up, to release it? And she talks in a completely different way with these patients. And then she says, okay, there is this history behind you, and now you have to leave it, you have to release it, and you look forward. And you do some worshipping, you recite some what is it called? Sutras. And then you try to take a thick brush, and you take the ink and you do some paintings, but they are like that. Like that these people are terrible, terrible. You get stressed if you look at them. So then she said, you take the big brush and you try again and again until you are able to get a circle. So then in the second meeting, you see in the videos, she always shows the videos, then the second meeting, a normal face, hands calm, and can talk slowly but clearly, and says, Churako says, you are looking wonderful, and now show me. And he shows he can do a cycle with a brush. Then she says, now you take a thinner brush. Next 4 weeks, you try with a thinner brush. So I can continue until she takes a very thin brush to draw. All these people, all these children are nowadays in a normal school. All these autistic people, they learn speaking writing, reading, everything, they get completely normal. That is so great what she has done. And whenever she's in another country, she shows these cases, because for us, this is incredible. It's impossible. Almost, we think it is impossible. If you see the person in the beginning and then becomes normal, more normal, and suddenly can do calligraphy, can write Japanese, and also the children now in the third generation or fourth generation are like that. And then the aim is, she says, you are a very normal, wonderful person. And she's teaching always 50% a physical existence and 50% a spiritual existence. And I focus now the spiritual existence of your life. And that is great. And she now, in 2018, since that time, many people from Nagasaki come and learn homeopathy, and that is her greatest success. She's always stressing this point. I got the people from Nagasaki. Nobody can understand without knowing the background.
Yeah.
Isn't it, friends?
Yeah.
Really, it's wonderful what she has done in 23 years. For us, it is incredible.
It's a visionary mind.
Yeah.
And a pioneer.
Yeah. Yeah, that is in short what I have experienced in Japan. And definitely I have brought a broad mind of homeopathy. For me, a classical homeopathy is much too narrow. It's sufficient if we say, I'm a homeopath. I can use the 3 pillars of homeopathy. I can use the miasmatic way, I can use the constitutional way, and organotropic way. So I have to decide what is necessary for a patient. But the development of homeopathy after the Second World War unfortunately went into lay hands. That means those who, the medical doctors before the Second World War, they worked with 2 or 3 remedies. They looked for the food, for the circumstances of life, and all that went off after the Second World War. And now we have a very narrow-minded part of homeopathy. Of course, there are a lot of homeopaths who are broad-minded, but still we have those who judge this is a good homeopath and this is not a good homeopath. Until now, I'm not allowed to publish any cases in the 5 classical journals because I'm talking about the holistic treatment, what people are doing, how they release their conflict and how they eat, how they behave and all that. They only want to know the remedies. And I tell them, even if I don't give any remedy, it will work. I'm not dependent on the granules. Not me. I'm not dependent on that.
Healing is never dependent on a remedy. Healing is dependent on the divine.
Yes, yes.
And that is on the conscious mind.
On the conscious mind, and that has gone lost in this, I should say, in this direction of homeopathy. But since this year, I must say, so many good ideas are on their way, that we come more together and that we appreciate each other, that we shake hands and say everybody has his or her successes, and we also sometimes we are not successful. That is quite normal in therapy.
That's absolutely normal. No conventional doctor is successful every time, nor is a homeopath, nor is an Ayurvedic doctor. Or any other natural path. There are many different voices, and each voice has to have an appreciated voice at the table. This is still missing, and I'm trying to connect as many homeopaths as possible, as many schools as possible, and to point out the success about autism. Dr. Metan Milani in India is very successful too in treating autism. Very appreciated doctor. And I'm really curious whether the idea of Dr. Priya, oh, I forgot her name, Subramanian, I think it is, what she said about the lockdown and the lockdown symptoms, that they're already creating a trauma layer upon the constitutional remedies. And she thinks that we will need the bird remedies more and more because they resemble the lockdown symptoms.
Yeah.
You see the same?
Yes, yes, of course. And I think we will discover more and more if we are open-minded to see what are the diseases of our time. We are no more the 20th century, no more the 19th century.
No, we are not.
And what are the modern diseases? And that has always to do with radiation. Now we have to adjust to this higher vibration since 100 years.
Radiation and glyphosate and all those things.
Yeah. And now we have started the century of microwave, and we will see how we can
overcome that.
Overcome and survive it, I must say, because I have already published 2 books about the way we can keep our health stable, although we are working with these things, one for the youth and one for the therapists. And also in my book, Corona and Paradigm, Change of Paradigm, I've shown some special remedies for the pollution, the microwave pollution. These are remedies quite well known. It's radium bromatum and sol, the sun, and X-rays and cadmium sulfuricum. Sulfuricum.
Cadmium sulfuricum, yes.
Yeah, cadmium sulfuricum, which is quite known in Japan and also in our country. Whenever we have a strong radiation from anywhere, if it is from our atom factories or whatsoever, it is known. And now I have put all the 3 or the 4 in my special kit, and I've seen in the last month that it has helped the people more to get hope to overcome this pandemic.
That's great. So for just a last question, which is quite revolutionary question, but you don't have to answer it, then skip it. In the last 200 centuries, we had a patriarchal approach in homeopathy.
Yeah.
We had a lot of quarrels. In fact, we have fragmentism in the schools of homeopathy. What do you think? Should we go for a matriarchal approach from now on and combine female homeopaths to find a solution to unite homeopathy again?
That is a very, very good question, because you hit a point what you could not know. Just now, I have finished a research work together with a psychologist, a very famous one, Michael Tietze, about the 5,000 years of castration of males, that means of gentlemen, in the different cultures, till today. So this we can only understand, that was only possible when at the same time the woman was called a not man. That means put down to the bottom. So the how do you call it? Patriarchal 5,000 years have gone. So if we now see what I have also mentioned in our book. It cannot be that now we have a matriarchal development, that there are websites where women declare how they want to castrate their husbands.
Now,
So,
this is not matriarchal. This is female patriarchy.
yeah, yes. But you see, we need time for the two genders to come together.
Yeah.
So that everybody can do this wonderful healing work in her or his way. Definitely, a woman may start the homeopathic treatment here and there in a different way. This is completely okay. And there might be a gentleman that in a male way he will work, but in the middle is the homeopathy. And this for me is a spiritual medical way because of the paragraphs 286 to 289, where Hahnemann wanted till the 10th issue, he wanted that the mesmerism is in his organon.
Yeah.
So the mesmerism today, we know very much, it's a healing touch. So that is why I left the TCM and went to the homeopathy, because of these 4 paragraphs. I wanted to know where's the spiritual Hahnemann. And spiritual Hahnemann is in these paragraphs. So of course, he was a very difficult man. And some of the homeopaths are following his way of quarreling and judging and all these things. But there is the other Hahnemann, the spiritual man, who had very great ideas far ahead, hundreds of years ago, forward. He was already thinking. And that is why he wanted the mesmerism in his organon. So I'm sure we will experience in the next years that slowly people calm down, they get calm, and they look what is the wonderful side of the male and wonderful side of the female. We need not a matriarchal homeopathy, no. We need homeopaths who are acting as a human, say as a woman or as a man, but in a human way, and that they stop the judging what is a good homeopath and what is the right one and what is this or what is a gypsy homeopath and a charlatan and all these things what I had to overcome in the last 30 years. It's ridiculous. Huh? But to answer your question directly, I'm sure that in the next years, this will be our work. This will be our effort to balance in homeopathy these two genders, definitely. And they will come together and unify or meet together in homeopathy and can appreciate that this might be in a different way or that way, that they appreciate the different ways.
So we are thinking of a flat system without hierarchy, united at one table, highly specialized people who don't judge each other anymore, but appreciate the diversity.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure about it.
This is what I would like to see in my lifetime.
Wonderful. You're on the best way to do it, because your emanation is tremendous, shows it even through Zoom. It's possible to feel what is really your intention to do that, to do this work. That's wonderful, wonderful work. Oh, I thank you very much for it.
So I think we should start with a female table, meet maybe each month, very different specializations, and slowly invite the male colleagues.
Yeah, that will be okay. Yes. Yes.
I'm coming back to you with that idea.
Yeah, that is a very good idea.
Rosina, I thank you very much for this interview. Are there any last words you want to speak to our listeners?
Trust yourself. Trust your own experience. And that is always the first truth.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I thank you very much too. Was very happy to meet you and continue working like that. It's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Rosina.
Bye.